coming in for today's meeting. My name is Ms. Medina. I am the administrator. I've been working with Daniel for the semester, and I've seen how his progress has progressed and not really progressed at the same time. But let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, and then we can go ahead and talk about his progression.
I am Ms. Guzman. I am Daniel's parent, and I am here because I feel that he struggled to read and to learn, and I am here to see what we can do about it.
I'm Ms. Gamboa. I'm Daniel's special education teacher, and I've been working with him for the entire school year. I've been, assessing him in his reading skill area and trying to work with him one-on-one to improve the problems that we saw he had at the beginning of the school year. And I'm ready to talk about his progress and discuss what we can do to help him additionally.
I am Ms. Daniels. I am Daniel's his general education teacher. I have been with Daniel for the entire school year, and we've been working on his issues that he's been struggling with this year and what we can do to help him move forward. I have worked with Daniel quite a bit one-on-one, and I've reached out to Ms. Gamboa, and we've been working and collaborating on how we can help Daniel for the rest of the year.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at Daniel's IEP, and let's talk about how he's doing.
Okay. So before we look at his IEP, it would be important to discuss how he became eligible for special education. So Ms. Daniels was actually somebody that reached out to me after she conducted some studies with him. I don't know if you want to talk about it, Ms. Daniels?
Yeah, of course. So at the beginning of the year, I noticed, I monitor the students while they work, and I noticed that Daniel struggles a little bit when it comes to reading and engaging with the other kids sometimes. Anytime that they do activities, I've just noticed that there are things that he needs to be helped with, and I think that it's important that we continue to do that. So I reached out to Ms. Gamboa. I did a response to intervention beforehand, and then I reached out to Ms. Gamboa to discuss what we should do from there regarding his issues.
So after Ms. Daniels reached out to me, she did the response to intervention like she mentioned, and she noticed that Daniel was still struggling. He didn't really progress after that intervention was done. So I decided to work with him, and I discovered that he did indeed would benefit from special education, which is why I decided to do an individualized education program specifically for him that I felt would include several goals and objectives that I knew would help him and he would benefit from at the end of the school year. So I could go ahead and start discussing the reading skill area. So the present level of educational performance that he was at the beginning of the school year that I wrote here was that these are the words that I used. Daniel is unable to read books independently and struggles with fluency. His fluency score is at 37 words per minute, well below the average of 60. He can recognize few sight words but has problems with the blending of sounds to make words. Daniel also has trouble remembering the names and sounds of certain letters. He often skips words in a sentence and does not go back to correct. Additionally, Daniel seems to be having problems with reading comprehension. He is unable to state main ideas of stories. So one of the annual goals that I decided to put was that by the end of 36 instructional weeks, the student would demonstrate phonological awareness by identifying and segmenting letter sounds, blending syllables, and recognizing and creating rhyming words. Obviously, in order to reach this annual goal, some objectives had to be put in place. So we decided to put some short-term objectives, and this was not just done by myself, it was in collaboration with the general education teacher, Ms. Daniels. So by the end of one of the short-term objectives was that by the end of 10 instructional weeks, given a list of words, the student will be able to identify and segment letter sounds with 60% accuracy in 3 out of 5 trials. He was able to do this very good, so I think that was an objective that helped reach his annual goal. Another one was that by the end of 20 instructional weeks, so this was, the way that I did this was that first we would start small, focusing on 10 weeks, then 20, 25, and 30. So after 20 weeks, given a list of words, he would be able to identify and segment letter sounds with 80% accuracy in 2 out of 3 trials. Again, he did really good in this. In the future, we put by the end of 25 instructional weeks, students will be able to create 20 words by blending syllables after a given list. Once we reached 25 weeks, I noticed that he didn't meet the goal of 20. He only did 15 blend. He was only able to create 15 by blending syllables after giving a list. Then another of the goals was that by the end of 30 instructional weeks, he would be able to create 29 rhyming words after being given a set of 5 words. And he was able to meet this short-term objective. The second annual goal was that by the end of 36 instructional weeks, student will restate the main idea with 80% accuracy of a passage read. Now, Ms. Daniels had mentioned that he had been, having a lot of problems with being able to, comprehend and restating main ideas, which is why it makes sense that he wasn't able to reach this goal. He only did 68% at this. He was only able to restate the main idea with 68% accuracy. One of the short-term objectives was that by the end of 20 weeks, he would be able to retell the main idea with 70% accuracy, and by the end of 20 weeks, he was only able to do it with 60%. So he didn't meet that short-term objective. And then by the end of 10 instructional weeks, we put that he would be able to highlight parts of the main idea with 60% accuracy of a passage heard or read. He didn't meet that goal. He only reached it at a 53%, which is still a little bit high compared to where he started, but he wasn't able to reach the 60%. And then the final annual goal in his reading skill was that by the end of 36 instructional weeks, he would have a reading fluency score of 50 words per minute, 60 words per minute, but he wasn't able to reach this goal. He was only able to reach 50 words per minute, which is still very high compared to where he started, which was at 37, but he wasn't able to reach the average goal of 60. Some of the short-term objectives were that after 10 weeks, he would reach 45, and after 20 weeks, he would reach 55. He did meet those, except for the last one. After 20 instructional weeks, he was only found to be at 50, and he stayed there. So those are the goals and the objectives that we have for reading skills.
Okay, so now that we went ahead and looked at his reading skills, let's go ahead and talk about his social skills. So Daniel has a bit of trouble following the teacher's directions and is constantly getting up from his seat or wants to leave the classroom. He does not transition well between classes and is usually disruptive when asked to be quiet or stay in certain places, such as in a line. Ms. Guzman, do you have anything to say about this?
Yes, I do notice that he struggles to read. He gets easily distracted. I feel that he's very smart and he knows a great deal. He just seems to struggle, and I find myself trying to find his struggles and frustrations. His behavior and learning is very unpredictable.
Ms. Daniels, Ms. Guzman, do you guys have anything to elaborate on this?
I noticed that at the beginning of the year, like we had mentioned, Daniel did struggle quite a bit when it came to skills such as reading socially and paying attention in class and not getting distracted, stuff like that. In the beginning of the year, it was a little rough, as you know, but I have seen improvement throughout the year. There's definitely still room to grow, of course, but I think that Daniel has done very well when it comes to listening and following directions a little bit more. He does get excited from time to time, and he does like to walk around and visit with the other kids, but once we get his attention and we get him to focus, he's usually pretty good. It's pretty similar when it comes to him transitioning between classes as well. He does get excited when we're in the halls and when he sees the other kids, but once we kind of talk to him and we're like, this is what we're doing, this is what we need to do, and this is what we're going to do to get there, then he's more go with the flow, and he's usually a lot better about it. So there has been improvement. So that's good, and I think as long as we continue working with him, we're doing what we're doing, and anything else that we decide to do, we can implement that into the future, and I'm sure he'll get better as well.
Okay, so as we know, Daniel does receive reading comprehension, special education classroom help for 2 times out of the week for an hour, and reading fluency for 3 times a week for an hour. Now that we've heard all of Daniel's pros and cons, do you, Ms. Guzman, feel that Daniel should continue on with the program?
Yes, I believe he should continue with the program.
Do you have any questions as to his things that we do in class to help manage his skills? Is there anything that you think that you can try doing at home or that we can help you do you at home to help him get to where he needs to be?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, well, I think, as long as we all continue working together, and focusing on the areas that need to be, given attention, I think that with what we're doing, we're on a good track, and I think that, by the end of the year, we'll see a lot more improvement too, so.
I think we're doing good. Okay, so thank you for coming in today, guys, and discussing Daniel's progress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Martin.
Thank you, guys.